making sure the people that have dilapidated units or vessels, they're put on notice and said, hey, you need to bring them up to par. And if not, then, we're not going to renew your lease. And so we do the revitalization as a part of our takeover. Usually that can be a 12 to 24 month process. But over time, those people can weed themselves out on their own. I think it's more important to make sure when we get in there, we align our values to the values of the people that are there and let them know kind of, what our expectation is, and make sure that that's implemented on day one.
Makes sense to me. And so do they tend to be 12-month lease terms or?
Yep, they're all 12-month lease terms.
Yeah, I mean, there's two sides to our industry. For everyone watching, we are currently an inland lake marina operator and company. We're not opposed to going to the coast, and we're actively looking at coastal properties right now. But there's two terms that brings up, and that's transient and annual. Coastal, you're going to have a lot more transient boaters. The way you charge and the way you make revenue on that is very different than lakes. Lakes are truly storage or multifamily on the water. 95% of our marina to 100% of our marinas are annual leases. We may have, courtesy docks when you're coming to the restaurant that you can pull up and it's, go and use space. But rarely do we offer fixed covered slips for somebody that wants a nightly slip rental.
Makes sense. All right, we've got another question here. Let's see, I've missed it. So this is a little bit more technical. If you don't have the answer, you're not CPAs. IRS ruling in 2019, PLR, everything else, established that slip rentals are rents from real property. Mm-hmm. So similar to multifamily, it is also opens up ownership of marinas to REITs.
Yep. REITs, 1031, DSTs.
Let's talk about that a little bit more, because I know for a fact that that's one of the huge exit strategies you have. Repurpose, reposition, improve operations, literally the same as like any other real estate deal, but then flip it to the REITs and to the private equity of the world. Can you speak a little bit to that?
That was originally our approach. That was our thought, is that we could do a roll-up strategy. We were fortunate that for decades and decades and decades, different industry groups have gone through consolidation, from family hardware to funeral homes to multifamily storage, on and on and on. So everybody's familiar with that process. Everybody's familiar that the margin is greatest when the consolidation begins than when it ends. So we come in, we acquire, we stabilize, we institutionalize, meaning bring in modern reporting softwares, create efficiencies, and then we grow NOI, mainly by creating more docks, more slips. If you're 100% occupied and you've got a 5-year waiting list, you increase your slip count, period. That's your easy way. So our strategy was, let's go out and work really hard for 5 to 10 years, do a roll up, package it up nice and neat, get all these marinas all operating the same cohesively, put a nice bow on it, and we'll get paid a huge premium for having done all the work. So that was our approach entering into it. And Josh, do you want to explain kind of how that's recently, it's still a path. It's still a path we're following, but we've kind of been knocked off of track a little bit.
It's just not a secret. I mean, marinas aren't a secret anymore, but we're a very protected real estate class. The fact
in
that
terms of not a lot of guys pursuing it, or
no,
elbows out.
But it's two parts. It's barrier to entry. Most lakes are locked down on their marina allocation. They aren't allowing any more marinas to come in, and most areas in the country aren't building any more lakes. And so, our first value prop that we tell an investor is, hey, you can go find a C or a B property, flip it, spend 5 years and get it to the B or the A and get the higher rents. and then somebody knocks down the dilapidated dry cleaner and strip mall and builds a brand new Class A multifamily complex, and they totally derailed your strategy. And so you're not going to buy a marina in most lakes and then have somebody come right next door and build a brand new marina. Those things, A, take a long time, B, take a lot of money. And so you're going to be very aware of the plans for that area, that region, before you even go in. But the bigger barrier to entry for private equity and institutional money is the complexities of owning a marina, because you're not just owning rent. You're not just owning a gas station. You're not just owning a restaurant. You're not just owning lodging. It's all of it in one. And so, and not to mention, you're buying from mom and pop. So they don't typically have good accounting. They don't have good systems in place, to Dallas's point. So they don't want to be the first in. It's too much work. It's too much of a grind. So they'll pay a premium for us to go in and do this 5 to 10 year strategy. What we didn't know was, A, how quickly and how efficiently we could do that. I think now our timeline horizon to stabilize a marina is probably under 2 years and expand it. So that's one part. But the other part is private equity. They love the cash flow so much, and institutional money is so desperate for margins right now, while multifamily and storage are going through, the variable rate loans, and they're getting, their faces smashed in every time they turn around, rising material costs after COVID and steel, and their margins were already thin to begin with. And now their budgets are blown way out of proportion. And I hate to say it, but a lot of them are choking on it. I mean, there was an article last week that said the default rate in multifamily last year was around 3%. And in March of 2025, they're already hovering around 12%. So it's not our idea or our thought. I mean, that's what's actually happening. And so big money and capital groups are looking for investments that have margin. And the fact that we are kicking off the cash flows that we can kick off, we can increase the NOI the way we can, and we can do it quickly. Private equity said, hey, we don't want you to wait 5 or 10 years and get 10 or 20 marinas. We'll accelerate your exit, and we'll offer you a little bit of a discount on what you think you could get after 10 years, but we'll pay it after 2. And so it's changed our approach a lot. I don't think we're ever going to be an operator that has 50 marinas. I think we'll be a manager of the 50 marinas, but I don't think we're going to have to build 20 marina portfolio to achieve a very handsome cap rate exit and a massive IRR and ROI and equity multiple for our partners. So, again, the roll-up strategy, the consolidation strategy has been around for a long time in a lot of industries. It's a proven model. We know if we keep doing it, we're going to be very successful for our investors. I just think we're looking at a 3 to 5 year exit on most of the marinas we acquire versus the 5 to 10 that we thought we were going to be pursuing 3 years ago.
Makes sense. And TJ was asking a question about a very, give us a live example. I don't want to get that deep into like specific deals with y'all. Of course, I'm aware of some of what you're doing. However, TJ, just reach out to these guys direct.
Yes.
They won't bite your head off. I promise. They are good people.
High level.
Dallas, maybe not, but at least Josh.
And TJ, very high level. We increase the NOI just by bringing in systems and technology. We increase NOI by increasing rents and making them par with the other competition on the water. And we increase NOI by expanding and adding slips. You do all of those things and you're buying at a much higher cap rate on average than you would be in multifamily or storage, but then you're still going to see the cap rate compression. So increase NOI 30 to 50% and then compress the cap rate on the exit. That's how we're able to project out the type of returns that, we tell investors. And
awesome. And again, TJ, just to reach out to these guys, go to
investor.marinas.com.
Yeah. Just the easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
So, all right. Along those same lines, you mentioned something, and I wanted to ask you specifically about it. With multifamily, it's been let's push rent, to the point that it's almost impossible to push rents. with marinas, I have to assume that, again, higher net worth renters without a lot of alternatives. Are you able to push rents very much, or is it more of a flexible, you raise too much, and then all of a sudden dry docking makes more sense?
You want to answer?
Well, I mean,
Who's on first? What's on second?
We increased.
I don't know what's on third. I'll take that.
We increased rent at a couple marinas we bought. It was one purchase, but it was two different marinas. We increased rent in the first year 20% across the board. The next year we raised rent another
10%,
10 to 36%, depending on what where you were located in the parks. But we didn't lose out of 887 tenants. We didn't lose one, not a single one. That's because the previous owner hadn't raised rent in
like 6 years,
forever, and that's the way a lot of these family-run operations are. You have a tenant that's been in your marina for 20-something years.
they're your friend.
You become friends with them, and you're reluctant to take a tactful approach to running your business.
And I hate the rent increase question, because anyone watching this, I think the natural reaction is, oh my gosh, they raised it, man, they're just vulture. And we were just trying to keep up partially with the business expenses. I mean, insurance has pretty much doubled in the last 5 years. Payroll has gone up. And, you know, we've had tenants call and say, I can't believe you're raising the rents. You're just a corporation trying to take advantage. And it's not the case. It's not like our profits went up 20 and 30%. That's nowhere near the case. It's just, we have to run it like
comically, but your value of the property goes up 60%.
Value goes up. Yeah, that value goes up substantially, and the value goes up a lot more based on the cap rate compression. But at the end of the day, a lot of family operators aren't running a marina like a business. It's been in their family for so long. What they're doing works. It makes them money. Could they bring in systems? Yes, but they're reluctant to change. Could they go and get a loan and add slips? Yes, but they're reluctant to take on debt. You know, it's no different than a hard money lender in flipping homes. I mean, you've got this lady that's about to be foreclosed on. She's 3 months behind, owes $80,000 on the loan, and the house is worth $300,000. But it needs $30,000 in repairs, and she can't do the repairs. She doesn't have access to money. So somebody comes in and offers her $80,000 or $90,000, puts $10,000 in her pocket, and does the $30,000 in repairs, and they just made a massive profit, $150,000 or $170,000, whatever it is. And it wasn't because they were taking advantage of the woman. That woman was about to be foreclosed on. They gave that woman a $10,000 walking money. And some people are going to say it's taking advantage, but it's an opportunity. My wife's in the roofing business. She sees a hell report and she gets excited. And I laugh because I'm like, that's one person's pain and suffering, but that is how the world works. You have a need, somebody else fills the need. And I hate to sometimes say what we do and how we do it, because we're not crass about it. We do take into consideration how to impact our tenants and our employees. But at the end of the day, we're running a business.
Makes sense. Well, I know part of what TJ was asking and why he was asking it, he's out there doing his own deals. Mm-hmm. And you know what? He will never, nobody watching will ever become marina experts, because it is just such a different animal.
Yeah.
Are y'all doing like co-GP deals where maybe you're working in partnerships or taking on the management maybe, but not the ownership risk? Are y'all doing anything like that, or at least open to those conversations?
I think, you know, we have focused the last year and a half on looking inward. We're a young company. Dallas and I are not perfect. We make mistakes, and we're constantly trying to improve our leadership and our management style and our implementation at the marinas, you know, and not trying to bite off more than we can chew. But at the end of the day, I mean, we have two verticals. We have the acquisition side where we go and raise money and we acquire marinas. And then we have the vertical of being the property manager. And I think that vertical can certainly grow tentacles, and we can start, you know, operating other people's marinas. We're not there yet because that would require building a larger team, and that takes money. And again, we're trying to be prudent financially with how we grow and make sure we're scalable. But I think that's definitely something that we see in our future. But we are working with capital. We are working with fund of funds that have money, have investors that are doing the multifamily and the storage, but they're looking for something fresh and new. And you mentioned the best ever conference, and that's what we kept getting told. Like, we had people come over and say, "Hey, this guy told me I had to come talk because he said you were the most fresh and exciting thing he's heard of in years." And I think as more and more people hear about marinas and wrap their hands around what we're doing, you don't have to overcomplicate it. We're chasing and pursuing long-term rents, but we've got a really nice cash flow component from the other ancillary businesses that are at the property.
Just that straightforward. But I do know you're also working with some institutional investors as well. And maybe that's some of these fund of funds that come to the table, but you are working with some larger single check writers. What's the difference operationally or reporting wise, actually working with these more institutional big check writers versus the smaller private investors, more that syndication style investors?
It's probably less work. We came from the oil and gas world, and we always used to say the person that did the minimum was always more work than the person that could write a $500,000 check. And it's money, right? When you're talking with somebody and they're giving you 10% of their net worth as an investment versus somebody that's giving you 1%, the worry and the stress is a very different animal. We do have a very, very strong private equity relationship out of Texas. They are a big check writer. Their average deals are probably 40 to 60 million. And so we're like the baby to them. Like, you need a $10 million deal for a marina? Like, yeah, we can write that check all day long. And so, Dallas and I came from the money raising world working with accredited investors. We have a lot of comfort and security in that path. And unfortunately, and I'm not speaking about our partnership, but private equity has gotten a bad name over the years in how they take over businesses or how they work with you as a partner. And we're so new to it. We lucked out with a group that said, "Hey, we'll go one at a time with y'all and let you grow how you want." And right now we found a lot of safety and comfort in working with our accredited investors, working with our 1031